Oh my god, he's actually doing it. He's straight up jorking it, guys. For real this time, for real. What are you doing, man?
Get out of here and go to the...
Hello, my name is Daniel, and a large part of Kenshi is the combat. It's one of the best parts of this game in my opinion. Ain't nothing better than watching your dudes beat the daylights out of some other dudes. It's hard to explain, but the combat in this game manages to be quite mesmerizing to just watch. From your squabbles with the homeless hordes to your struggle against military forces, I never find myself too busy to watch most of, if not all of a fight go down, each time one happens to or around me. So, fighting, combat, assault with a deadly weapon or what have you. A very important aspect of all these things is what you choose to do your fighting or assaulting with. I'm talking about your weapon of choice, of course. What you carry out here does a lot more than hang from your side or cling to your back. It sends an important message, one that can save your life or jeopardize it. Any sand rat or some chumps with some spare cats can wield a weapon, but very few can do them justice. There is a weapon out there for everyone, whether it be a fast and sharp katana painting seas of red with the ink of unarmored opponents, or a mighty plank whose swings quake and shake the bones of all of those in its reach, while desperately trying to part those limbs from their owners' bodies. With armaments like these, and everything in between, it can be intimidating what you choose to trust your life with. You can use almost any weapon out here, but like a lot of things, you are what makes the tool great. The paintbrush is nothing without the painter, and the book is forever blank without the author. And there are a lot of tools when it comes to combat, and all of them different. But fear not, for I will go over every single weapon in Kenshi, so we can figure out what looks the coolest, neatest, and what whoops the most ass, so you can go out there and be the superstar swordsman you were born to be, and even put Crowl to shame. All applicable weapons will be reviewed as Katan number 3. So in other words, the closest to medium quality available for that weapon. Because if I did all the weapons and their qualities, that would be almost 500 of them to talk about. I'm not that crazy. Also, extreme situations like characters with higher than 60 or 70 attack and defense and in weapon skills, or of course, masterwork cybernetics, will be excluded. This is about the weapons themselves and not who is better all around. Weapons will be rated mostly on how well they perform, reliability, and how efficiently they can win you a fight, and how easy they are for most characters to make use of in common situations. Other than that, my words are not absolute, are to be taken as fact, but of course are just opinions. I've played Kenshi for 1,600 hours and have ran most of, if not all of these hackers and smackers that we're gonna be rambling on about today. So, I might have some useful insight. We'll be ranking all these weapons through a few tiers, which I'll briefly go over. Top tier. You cannot do better than this weapon in most hands and situations. Trust it with your life and never leave home without it. High tier. A solid and reliable performer with very few downsides and a very well rounded across the board. A fine companion for the road. Mid tier. Performs well enough, but is outclassed by similar options, or finds itself to be too niche in performance to be well used. Will serve you well enough, but might leave you yearning for more. Low tier. Less than ideal. The weakest in its class usually, and you'll want to replace this with a better style of weapon in its class, and you probably only have it since it's your best option you have currently. Bottom tier. Ordering is a joke weapon. Insults to the target's mother's weight and financial status will do more damage than striking them in the head with such a weapon. Actively holding this in combat almost endangers you more than the opponent trying to kill or rob you. And that's it for the tiers. which we will rank and place them after we test and go over each weapon in a category. So stay tuned to see how your favorite fares against its peers. So I will be testing all weapons, but I'm not gonna include all 175 clips where each weapon goes through our entire testing gauntlet we set up for you, kind viewers. With all that out of the way, let's start with the blunt weapons, in which there are 6 in this class for us to choose from. You often start with one of these types in the standard game beginnings. Some of you might even have one hanging from your side right now. They are a favorite of slave beaters and bounty catchers, and those who don't care for the armor you chose to wear during that fight. With high strength and some skill, these simple weapons shine and disable limbs alarmingly fast with a few lucky hits. Notably, some of the higher level versions of these humble beaters are devastatingly heavy just to carry, and with some of them weighing more than a set of quality samurai armor. Most of these will require around 40 strength to swing at full speed. As fights draw out and injuries harm your strength stat, you might find yourself unable to swing most of these weapons at full speed. These weapons are quite capable despite their simplicity and weight, so let's talk about them. The Iron Stick. Starting off with the weakest weapon in this class and in the entire game. Not to be confused with the Iron Club, an actual weapon. This thing is the closest you can get to being better off barehanded, and this thing can't even be crafted either. While it might be possible to find a high quality iron stick in ruins, most of the ones you'll find are going to be rusting junk, the lowest quality available. It is such a poor weapon, it comes with a negative attack and defense modifier built in no matter the grade. And I mean, look at this thing. It's a fucking octagon. How are you meant to hold this, let alone fight with it? Notable users of this sorry metal stick are scrawny cannibals and fogmen. But the main upside of this hilariously bad weapon is that when you're fighting, experience is granted on landed hits, not necessarily fights won. And when you have to hit someone 100 times to knock them down, you can learn a lot. So do with that knowledge what you will. But this weapon still gets to be the weakest regardless. About as useless as it gets, but maybe for training, it could be useful to keep one laying around. The Iron Club. Hey, look at that. Since this is a weapon we can craft, we will have our mysterious masked smith make us one of average quality, who has also agreed to make us any of the weapons craftable in this current day and age for the sake of convenience. How nice is that? A huge thank you to leana-bardoe, everybody. With this beautiful piece crafted, we'll be talking about the Iron Club. These things can be seen strapped to many weak bandits and the like, and is found all over the moon that is Kenshi. It is what the Iron Stick wishes it was, and is one of the default options for crafting at the smithy station. It even features a fancy wrapped handle, so it's a large upgrade from the Iron Stick so far. The blunt damage it deals is about the safest way to capture a weak bounty, or slowly whittle down a weakly armored opponent. But it is a risky option for real threats out there. And make no mistake, this thing is not an overall great weapon when sized against common threats. It also has a tougher time beating through an animal's hide, making beak things and bone dogs more resilient to its stick beating techniques. Even as a sidearm, there are better and lighter options out there. If you find yourself with a lot of strength, maybe you can draw out some fierce power from this humble, homeless armor. Jite. This funky little stick with an even funkier sword catcher and the funkiest name ever. One of the best sidearms you can have in a bar fight. It makes deflecting attacks from your person very easy, and nothing is better than keeping you and your opponent alive after beating the consciousness out of them. Overall, a fine choice of sidearm. That is, if you can afford the weight it costs to carry one of these heavy beating sticks along with your other gear. Heavy Jite. Deja vu. Didn't we just talk about this thing? Wait, it's bigger and does a little more damage and weighs even more. Oh, it has an armor penetration of 10% tacked on as well. Well, this thing sounds like an overall upgrade from the standard version. Other than it taking up your main weapon slot, this thing is definitely bigger than its other counterpart. You can do a lot worse than the heavy Jite if strength is your forte. If you get too beat up by the bounty you're trying to capture in a fight, you might just need that defense bonus to see yourself through it when you start to struggle to swing this heavy thing. Say hello to the heaviest blunt weapon on the market. I hope you've been hitting the copper mines. Mercenary Club. Here we are, a fine blunt instrument indeed. The song this club sings is loud and clear, and it'll be ringing in your ears for a few weeks after it strikes you in the head, helmet or not, passing through 30% of armor and doing a nasty 20% on skeletons. Man, this thing hurts. It can be a little bit unwieldy with a -2 attack modifier, and animals might find it easy to shrug off some of its blows. But I gotta say, this thing does the strength stat proud. But boy, I hope you have a lot of it, because it's one of the heaviest one-handed weapons out there. Do not arm wrestle someone sporting one of these around. You will lose. Spiked Club. Was that Mercenary Club a little too smooth for ya? Liked the armor penetration but didn't care too much for the efficiency against skeletons? Wish it did a little bit of a better job keeping a target down longer? Well, despite all the wicked spikes protruding from this thing, the bleeding it can cause can leave something to be desired for those looking to kill. But it will keep your target down and out longer than any other blunt weapon because of the bleeding it can cause, but it's nothing crazy. While intimidating looking, some may favor the original flavor to let the blunt damage truly shine. You can do far worse than this beater, so don't sleep on it. And that, roamers, are the blunt beaters many use as weapons. But which is best for you? For testing the weapons, our assistant will be none other than the veteran rebel swordsman, with the most rounded stats of anyone we could kidnap, with roughly 50 in every weapon skill, attack, and defense. The perfect specimen, cladded in average medium armor to provide the least amount of hindrance of the weapon in question. This is the perfect specimen truly. He will be testing all scenarios and showing us how it's done. These challenges will put this weapon through trials you may have very well seen on your own adventures out there in the wastes. Don't just take our word for it. Let's let the weapon do the talking for itself. Challenge 1. Almost anyone can down a fogman. I've seen a gust of wind blow a fogman's arm off before. They are that brittle. But for anyone who has been to those accursed fog islands and survived knows. One of them, 3, 4, 10, 12 of these mindless bastards can surround you in an instant. Let's see how our weapon of choice fares against a swarm of 15 brittle fog foes, inhumanely captured and riled up for our entertainment. Challenge 2 features a fight against a common scene. A gang of 7 dust bandits in an open field. A common occurrence for many new roamers. Let's see how we fare against an average, lightly armored, robbing band of scum with our weapon of choice. Challenge 3. A fight has broken out in an unlikely place. The Black Shifters Casino. Let's see who gets the girl and the rollback when two heavily armored samurai police wielding indoor specialized jetés show up to cash us out. And here we are at Challenge 4. We all know there's an overabundance of things trying to eat us out there, not even including each other. Animals, hungry and feral. What better known predator is there? The hungriest and most vicious of them all. That's right, big things, and boy, do they look hungry. Challenge 5. Here we are, the final test of the gauntlet. Few out there can match a skeleton in combat, let alone a straight duel. This is one of the ultimate opponents out there roaming the sands. Boy, does that fragment axe look dangerous. Akron help you if it hits anything important. Excuse me, you black dragon motherfuckers, I'm trying to do something here, for God's sakes. Dude, yeah, middle of testing the iron club. The iron stick. And, I guess I wasn't paying attention. Oh my god. Look at these sacks of shit ruining my little fucking video I'm trying to make here. I hate these guys so much. Not only do they fuck with me in a normal run, but when I'm doing my behind the scenes, my hard work for the video, these walking sacks of excrement have to walk up and fuck everything up. Leana-bardoe, please see these guys straight into the afterlife, please. Please, there we go. Yes. Yes. Didn't even open the gate. I love Lean Beans so much. Alright, now I gotta fucking replace everyone because those bastards showed up. What a pain in the ass. What the joys of behind the scenes, to be honest. I got my cute little setup, my fucking Black Shifter bros because they're so funny after I made that video. Figuring out they'll run this casino come hell or high water. Alright, let's see the spokesperson for this weapon class do some talking. The Mercenary Club. It was on par with the Heavy Jitty against the Fogmen, both weapons downing all 15 faster than all other options, leading to less injuries from chip damage, the most dangerous thing when facing a swarm. These Fogmen tend to get up pretty fast after getting knocked down due to the lack of bleeding damage these weapons possess. Overall, blunt weapons aren't the best against swarms. They need more damage or cutting, because you might be fighting the same swarm more than once. Dust Bandits and their poor quality gear did little to resist the mighty club and its damaging swings. It seems to swing faster than the Heavy Jite, and it cleaned them out the fastest because of it. Surprisingly, the Iron Stick did win this fight, but not very well. Armored skilled opponents indoors, the Samurai Police. The Iron Stick did lose miserably in its run here, while everything else did manage to win. Notably, the regular Jite seemed to take the longest to win during this fight. But of course, the Mercenary Club outdamaged all other contenders with its armor penetration, with the Spiked Club coming close to second with its armor penetration as well, against these armored lawmen. Against the Beak thing here, everything did win, albeit very, very slowly. Nothing too notable other than the Iron Club losing its first round because of 3 unlucky hits to the chest. But other than that, everything did win, even the Iron Stick. By some miracle, our rusty hero slowly whittled down this beak monster and won the fight, giving the Iron Stick a badge of giraffe beating for its efforts. Don't use blunt weapons on animals unless you have no choice. Finally, the fight against a stronger opponent with much better gear goes to give us awful odds no matter what we're holding. Some fights go like this.
Is he goated with the sauce?
Some go like this.
God damn.
What we gauge here is if the weapon itself can carry you against unfair odds when your skills are lacking. A 20% chance to win going all the way to a 30% chance is still one hell of an upgrade when you're still expecting defeat. And with that, the only weapon that saw a decent win against this skeleton monster was today's winner. Probably owing to its skeletal damage bonus, it did lose more fights than it won, but it did have the best effect and was shown to be a surprisingly solid dual weapon. Overall, blunt weapons are an okay choice, but there is better out there without looking too hard. To be honest, they're pretty much good for strength training and that's about it. But with a character with very, very high strength, they can shine quite well with the damage they can pump out. But there are better, more reliable weapons out there for your average roamer. If you're in an area with lots of animals, you might struggle against them with these bludgeons at your side. But if samurai are on your tail, you might find them a little bit easier to fight off when they come to raid your hash farm, when you're wielding the absolute can opener that is the Mercenary Club. So let's rank these beaters. The Iron Stick obviously gets bottom tier. A well enough fighter can get away swinging one of these around, but not against real threats. The Iron Club, low tier. Iron Club will serve as a weapon to many homeless, and like its wielders, its damage is a little bit on the impoverished side. It could be like a baton. You could be like a hobo cop. Half homeless, half law enforcer. Low tier. Jite. For an average character, inside fights can be a rare occurrence, but even this thing seems to get out-damaged in its own territory, so it also gets low tier. Heavy Jite. This thing hurts, but boy is it heavy like the name says. It has some armor penetration, the 8 defense and the lot of damage it deals is nice, but the Katanas grade 3 we tested weighs 17 kilograms. That's almost 40 pounds in freedom units, meaning you need 50 strength just to be able to swing this average quality one at full speed. You don't want to know how heavy these get at high quality. That's a heavy requirement as far as this weapon goes. Also, if you knock someone out with this, they get up in less than a second sometimes, which pisses me off, since this is a capture weapon and it sucks for it. Mid tier. Spiked Club. While kind of heavy, and it has a minor -2 attack, this thing is about the most direct upgrade to the Iron Club that there is, and it has a very important bonus, 30% armor penetration. For what it's worth, it's about the best capture weapon on the market, and the endgame slavers are armed with these for a reason. Mid tier. The Mercenary Club. This guy comes somewhat close to being high tier. Actually, if I'm being honest, the main issue with all blunt weapons is the weight and the range. It's hard to get multi-hits in when holding one of these, but it is a good dual weapon, performing the best against the monster fragment skeleton and the 2 indoor samurai police, because those bonuses matter here. That armor penetration is wicked. It gets mid tier. I'm giving it upper mid tier, but still in mid tier, because it looks goofy, it's heavy, and it has a disrespectful -2 attack tacked on there. And let's be honest, all blunt weapons are, at the end of the day, is just a poor man's hacker he can't afford to get sharpened. And with that is all of the blunt weapons roamers, with the Mercenary Club coming out on top. Next up, did all those heavy and stubby sticks bore you? Well, how about some long ones? Real long ones. And hey, some of them are sharp. Very sharp. Polearms. It's human nature to be able to swing a long, sharp stick, so anyone can do it. Well, almost anyone. They say making fire was one of humanity's defining moments. The other? Using a sharp spear to get some meat over that fire. So let's see which one of these bad boys tops the rest, because we've got a few to talk about. There are 5 accepted polearms on the market currently, and they are all widely used, unlike our friends in the blunt department. They have places amongst the military in the UC, and those freaky tribal hivers serving their queen. You might even see some of those nomads carrying around today's first candidate. The humble staff. quite literally a long stick, but it is the shortest in its class. And yes, that stubby looking heavy polearm is longer, somehow. This thing doesn't do the extra damage against wildlife, but it does come packaged with the flagship benefit of all polearms, a nice attack bonus from being easy to use. Also, like with all polearms, don't take this thing inside. You'll probably do more damage to the walls than your enemies. But if you love the clubs and have some strong ass arms, you might find some room in your heart for this long, goofy beating stick. Alright, I know some of you are waiting for it. You probably had this thought as you were watching through the video or as soon as you clicked on it. Yep, you're waiting for old Daniel to say the N-word. Well, let me catch you up to speed. I went to an N-word expert and got properly schooled. See, I did pronounce the end of this word with an A sound at the end, so they said I wasn't a lost cause. They did say if I added an R at the end, they would beat my ass though. Next up, we're talking about the naginata. This is one of the longer polearms, and unlike the staff, it's pretty sharp. It sports an attack bonus and does a whole 50% damage against animals, and it looks pretty cool too. The Nagenta Katana. While shorter than its halberd brother, this thing is a katana on a damn stick, and for it, it is the sharpest polearm out there. Like katanas and polearms, this guy gets some of the benefits of both, with a 25% damage against animals and humans. But its slender blade seems to have trouble getting under armor, so it also suffers a negative 15 armor penetration. The Polearm. The flagship name of this weapon class comes with a sickening 30% armor penetration and a 50% damage against animals. Found most commonly on those tribal hivers, these guys look like they have low damage on paper, but don't let that fool you, they still hurt. And last up, the heavy polearm. Still retaining that armor penetration and damage against animals, this polearm sacrifices some of its length to add a big ass blade on the end to do more damage. It's basically a saber on a stick. And that is all of the polearms. I was testing these guys and it was very exciting. They are all fine weapons indeed. But you probably knew that already if you've ever used one before. But which one is the best? It's hard to say out of all these magnificent options, but it just might be the polearm, the heavy one. Let's go see it whoop some ass. First off, the Fogmen here with the Naginata Katana. They well, let me just show you the clip actually. Yeah, that was the fastest clear yet. There's a lot of RNG to all this, but Jesus, that was amazing. Unarmored opponents and cutting damage go together like a toaster in a bathtub. It's just so deadly. With that scary ass clip we saw, what if I told you, despite doing less damage, the heavy polearm cleared the Fogman and the Dust Bandits with the fastest time. And let me tell you, both Naginatas cleared these very fast themselves, and it blew me away when this thing started swinging. It just does so much damage, it's bonkers, bro. But let me commend all polearms here. With the attack bonus, the frequent multi-hits on each swing, these guys are just a monster against groups, with all of them leaving our user barely scratched after these fights. Fine performance all around. So let's talk about the inside fights. The staff lost here. It just can't do enough damage to an armored threat to save its user, it seems, especially inside. But the others didn't fare too well either. The Polearm's ferocity seems to tank indoors, and no one passed this test with flying colors. But for what it's worth, the heavy Polearm did do the best, with the regular right behind it because of their armor penetration tipping the damage back to a reasonable sum. Both Naginatas, especially the Katana Naginata, did awful, barely getting a win here. They hit incredibly fast, but they don't do much in the way of damage against armor, and let me tell you, the Iron Club, the basic Iron Club, that thing did better than most of the Polearms here. Thankfully, Polearms don't weigh that much, so it's easy to bring a sidearm, or you can just take it outside for an easy W. The beak thing got shredded by everything but the staff. Even the Katana Naginata did mean shit to this poor animal. So the Polearm and the regular Naginata downed it the fastest. No surprise. They're the best animal slayers out there on the market. They are matched as complete equals here, both boasting 50% damage and similar base damage. Seconds behind them is our friend, the heavy Polearm. While it does have less of an animal damage bonus, that didn't slow it down much when it comes to making this beak thing into gristle flaps. While it didn't win here for the fastest takedown, it still does damn good work as a Polearm. And now the tech skeleton monster. I had high hopes for the Polearms here with their wicked attack bonus, but they just can't beat this madman. I was starting to think it was an issue where I chose a skeleton that was just too strong, but look at him. He only has like 10 attack on our guy, 10 attack and defense, but each time he just bends him over and checks his oil, if you know what I mean. The Polearms just didn't land hits here very often, and when they did, it didn't do a lot of damage when they did manage to land hits. The Katana Naginata did the worst here, averaging like 10 damage. The only thing I can say is I was disappointed. The Mercenary Club and the Spike Club have been the only things to win against our skeleton friend here, it seems. Also, the Ashlands are full of these guys, stronger than the tech skeleton we have here, and they have armor and good weapons. So keep that in mind if you ever have the urge to take a trip out there in the Ashlands. With all that, let's rank these slender beauties. The staff, low tier. The staff is just an awful polearm. It's a family member who doesn't have a job and has nothing interesting to say at family gatherings. While everyone else is off slaying beak things and the homeless, the staff finds its place in the hands of farmers, fending off river raptors or helping the older warriors walk around. Naginata. Able to turn any peasant into a foot soldier just by wielding it. This thing is fast and long and it hurts, especially against animals. If you want an elegant choice out there on the battlefield that is well spoken in the ways of taking lives and looking good doing it, this choice will serve you well from the desert to the outlands against many, many foes. Say hello to our first high-tier weapon. Naginata Katana. Against the fogmen and bandits, this katana stick was right behind the heavy polearm, which is commendable, but its performance against armor is very, very troubling. But even with the 25% increase to humans, that 15% armor penalty puts this guy behind the regular Naginata. It also took the second longest to down the beak thing, overall hurting its reliability as a polearm greatly. And since there are a lot of armored foes out there, let's just say there might be a better polearm. But that's not to say this doesn't do dexterity users proud. It's a fine cutter, and at the end of the day, it does polearms and katanas proud. Mid-tier, because it mostly looks kinda silly. Polearm. The polearm. High tier, baby. This is a real can opener and animal slayer. It is a perfect example of a polearm. No, a weapon. The safest bet for any roamer who is getting their bearings is to wield one of these. It's overall what I consider to be the go-to choice for the indecisive player looking to smith arms for their fighters. Its damage is solid across the board and across the sands, only being beat by our next winner, the heavy polearm. This guy is the regular polearm, but on laced hashish. Its reach and damage is so fierce, you would think you had an extra 10 attack than the 4 it comes packaged with. It participates in battle so well, I had to double check that our tester didn't have a falling sun in their hands. The damage numbers were so high coming from this fucking thing. It did the best indoors. It did pretty well against the big thing, competing against the very best out there. It cleared the fogmen and the bandits fastest, no question. And this is all with a very average character, mind you, which makes it even crazier. High tier. This thing actually only does slightly more damage than the regular polearm and performs the most reliably out of everything from what I could see. It probably only does a little bit more damage when compared to the regular polearm, but it's hard to say. The regular polearm does look cooler though, but I ended up going with the heavy one because... Have you ever seen an NPC use one of these? That might be the reason I was so unfamiliar with it. Well, give it a good thought. Have you ever fought anyone using one of these? The Southern or Western Hive? Nope, all regular polearms. Try again. Or, well, don't try again, because no one actually spawns or uses one of these monsters except one character, and he has the fucking legendary version of it. He's actually right next door over here. Right next door fighting arena thing. So let me show you. Screamer the False, everyone. The only user of a heavy polearm on the moon. Other than our rebel swordsman a minute ago when he was testing him. Tell us, Screamer the False, why does the heavy polearm do so well overall?
Because it does more damage against animals, like your mother.
Next up, skeletons piss me off, so we're gonna be reviewing the best weapon to hack up those world-ending cowards. Hackers. There are 6 of these bad boys to talk about, and none of them give a damn about armor, and they all have a strong respect for strength. But they do all come with a slight negative 10% animal bonus. These brutish blades will make you feel like the butcher you were born to be when that battlefield turns into a meat market with just a few swings. A lot of people seem to feel at their best with a hacker on their back, most notably the Holy Nation, because they get their own flagship weapon that belongs to this very class. All 6 choices here are pretty unique from one another, so let's see which one is worth your time. Starting with Short Cleaver, the only hacker that can fit in your sidearm slot. It does have a humble 10% armor penetration, making it the second lowest, but it does have a 20% damage against robots, and the 10% damage against animals. The Long Cleaver. You and the guy that she tells you not to worry about. Hack 'em up Long Cleaver style is what we say in the Outlands. All that extra cleaver packing makes this thing look like it's the most damaging on paper, sporting the full 30% armor penetration and the 20% against robots too. Any Shek ladies out there might not be too impressed though. When the Holy Flame fails to convince, the Paladin's Cross is the next one to do the talking. Seen on many a faithful Paladin's back, and for good reason. This is a masterpiece forged from many decades of hatred and fear of skeletons and all their kind. featuring a wicked ass 50% damage bonus against them as a whole, and it sports with a 30% armor penetration. Provides a free 2 defense bonus from the Holy Crossguard. There is but 2 drawbacks to this weapon. A negative 10% against all humans and animals. The Combat Cleaver. This guy is ready to hack any time of day. Ready to go through 30% of armor. Ready to do an extra 25 against robots. Ready to suffer the 10% against animals. And ready to follow you to the Ashlands if need be. The Flesh Cleaver. Many who pick one of these up for the first time don't realize how short it is until they're holding it. The Flesh Cleaver is one of 2 weapons to have 16 reach, the shortest reach in the game. Compared to the short cleaver, this is like a micro cleaver. Anyway, brothers, size doesn't matter. What does matter is the 10% against animals and the negative 2 defense. And also, the 30% armor penetration, the 15 bonus against skeletons, and what's this? A bonus 20% against humans. That sounds pretty sick on paper, considering how most of us on this moon are human beings wearing armor. The last up, the Moon Cleaver. One of the more exotic weapons out there. We get our standard 30% armor penetration, the negative 10 against animals, and a 20 against robots as well. It does come with a negative 2 defense though. Might not have the longest blade, or the best robot damage. But damn, the more I look at this thing, the cooler it gets. No wonder the Black Shifters make this standard issue. It somehow seems like a brute in a suit when compared to its peers. And that's the hackers. Let's, go test them. And, hack on over? No. I can do better than that. And that's the hackers. Who will hack to the top? No, fuck. That's bad too. Hang on. That's it for the hackers. Let's see who will construct a mountain of limbs from their opponents to reach the top and claim the throne against its savage peers. That's probably good enough. Man, this is taking a while. No wonder all the other videos ranking weapons in Kenshi just pull up a picture from the wiki and throw it in the tier maker. Why didn't I think of that? Oh well. Quality over quantity. Oh yeah, the winner for the hackers is definitely the Paladin's Cross, big time. Let's see it in action, and let's see why. So the hackers have performed well, cranking out some of the most consistent damage yet. Also, this might come to the surprise of no one, but the armored indoor fight was a breeze for everyone. Those samurai might as well have been naked in there with the damage numbers I saw across the board. For the fog and bandit fights, everyone, even the short cleaver, did acceptably well, with everyone's damage numbers high and being pretty consistent, the most consistent yet out of all the classes. Major note here about that flesh cleaver though, despite all the bonuses it gets, it turns out to be one of the weakest hackers, which is a shame. Everything also did well against that old beak thing too, despite their handicap. So they will fight off the wildlife just fine. But the main winners here are the Long Cleaver and that Paladin's Cross. The Long Cleaver is the highest damaging cleaver, because unlike the Paladin's Cross, it does not get the negative bonus against humans. But that being said, that damage difference isn't too deal breaking. The 50% bonus against robots is fucking insane, and you cannot compete against it. That's why the Paladin's Cross gets number 1. Security spiders, skeletons. These things will take off limbs in a heartbeat, and they are one of the biggest threats out there. Between it and the Long Cleaver, yes, the Cleaver does do more damage against opponents across more of the known world. But against the threats that matter, the ones that'll wipe you out, the Paladin's Cross is a certified ass smacker in the prison showers that are Kenshi. That being said, the motherfucking tech skeleton is so strong. Okay, I'll say it. I'll assume the Spy Club and the Mercenary Club beating this monstrosity was either a fluke, a miracle, or an act of God. That gave me false hope to keep going and testing these poor weapons against this diabolical devil. None of the Polearms beat him. None of the hackers, the skeleton destroyers, can't even get a damn hit in. My rule of thumb in Kenshi, right? If they have 10 attack and defense on you, get ready for a rough fight. You can get by if you have really good quality gear. That's typically what wins you these fights. If they have 20 over you, get ready to be slaughtered and dumped in a ditch. I guess the new rule of thumb is don't fight anyone with a single integer or point of attack and defense higher than you, because that thumb is going straight up your ass and we can just void all of the testing because of it. This guy is just sitting here farming wins and ruining my testing, so I threw his sorry ass in the peeler and I changed the final fight to a fight against a broken model skeleton who actually has a solid exact 50 in every stat. And I gave him specialist samurai armor, and I made them a Mark 1 plank since he can't swing a Mark 1 fragment axe at full speed to make it fair. Then, I had the issue where the rebel swordsman was just beating him every time. Like, it was embarrassing. So, it looks like I tipped the scale too far in our favor, which of course defeats the purpose of this fight. The armor incurs an attack penalty, so he can't land hits very often, so we end up winning very often, despite him being out-armored and outgunned. And listen, I was gonna save it for the end of this video, but I'll spoil it right now. The weapon you're holding does not really matter nearly as much as your attack and defense stats go. Okay, that's why polearms are so damn great. Big spoil. Anyway, I then unpeeled the last OP tech skeleton, and I threw the samurai armor on him. And then he still proceeded to whip the daylights out of our tester with minimal effort. It's a difference of 5 attack between the two. The 14 or 15 in defense. The difference between winning utterly and losing embarrassingly and all other modifiers, I guess, can be safely thrown out the fucking window, because I can't either make him slightly stronger or slightly weaker, because either way it's almost a guaranteed win or lose, because then what's the point? I know strength and dexterity matter too here, but look. He only has, it's like a little difference, he only has 4 more strength than me. Sure, okay, he has 25 dexterity, that's kind of a bit, right? He's using a fucking plank, my guy. Have you ever played a game called Dark Souls? Do you know what Dex does for a strength weapon? Fuck off. That's what it does. And it's like that in Kenshi too. So, why is there such a dramatic difference? The point of testing and showcasing the weapons against a stronger opponent is to see how well they can do. Not for the skeleton to just anally devastate me with 50 damage hits to the scrotum with no effort, despite being only minusculely better than the rebel swordsman. You know what? How about this? Let's stick fucking Lean Bean out there. Let's have all rebel swordsmen fight, Let's have them fight. Let's see. Yep. I can't make out much of a difference from what I just saw between Lean Bean hacking him up and the skeleton hacking him up, seeing how the rebel swordsman just got fucking annihilated with no effort either way. Good job, Lean Bean. Get the fuck out of here. Get on. Go start making the sabers. The flesh cleaver, slow tier. Oh wait, I gotta get inside first. Hang on. Flesh Cleaver. While sporting the best bonuses out there, this thing sadly gets low tier, even against Fogmen. The damage was quite lackluster and almost comparable to the clubs. The Short Cleaver, mid tier. This thing is a mean little bastard, and its damage surprised me quite a lot for what it is, but it's nothing incredible. It's mostly outshined by any other cleaver here on the list, but it does beat an average blunt weapon in a fight in terms of damage. The Combat Cleaver. Surprisingly, this thing is only a slightly better short cleaver with better amounts of damage, bonus, and reach. Mid tier. The Moon Cleaver. Oh, this thing wants it to be him so bad. But he's not him. He is, however, really pretty. We got a pretty little man over here, that's what we got. Listen, pretty boy, you hack pretty good. But there is just someone out there who is longer and hacks better. I'm sorry. Upper mid-tier. The Long Cleaver. Now don't tell Moon Cleaver I went and told you this, but you're pretty tall and handsome, and you do a lot of damage. The damage numbers you do are only rivaled by your numbers in inches, which are many. But I gotta be real with you. Your place is a hacker, not an armor-piercing Nodachi. If you were just born with a 10% bonus against humans on top of that armor penetration, I'd marry you, you long, sexy thing. You're perfect for someone out there, but it's not me, pretty boy. High tier.
Look at our fresh dress.
The Paladin's Cross. Now you could go tell Long Cleaver I said this cause I don't give a fuck, but sweet Jesus, you're pretty much him, but with thickness on both ends, and with the ability to send robots and skeletons straight to the scrap heap with minimal effort. Better than any weapon on this Akron forsaken moon. I don't even really feel that 10% negative bonus against humans with your juicy penetration, so I think that's just fine. But when I see that 50% bonus against skeletons, I know that you are today's first top tier weapon. With the Paladin's Cross, fear nothing, brave warrior, for you are watched by Akron himself, and the sun shines brightly on you this day. Wait, what? No, that can't be. How did I miss that? What the hell is going on? The Short Cleaver? The Paladin's Cross? Even the Long Cleaver? The Short Cleaver weighs almost the same as the others? Hang on, excuse me. Let's read the description for the Short Cleaver, alright? Let's see what it says together. Okay. A lightweight. Okay, let me stop you there. This thing weighs 28 pounds. The whole Paladin's Cross only weighs another 33 pounds in comparison. That's only a 5-pound difference between these two. What the hell are you making this cleaver out of? Osmanium? Are we trying to compete with the blunt weapons for who needs the heaviest dick-beating hand to wield? How the fuck did I miss that? How is this thing so damn heavy? I mean, it's not that heavy, but when you compare it to, I don't know, this big-ass cleaver that you have to wear on your back, and it only manages to weigh slightly less, I hate it here. Lean Bean, what did you make this cleaver out of? Oh, what does that blueprint even say to do? Step 1, find the most dense material. Step 2, make a sword. I can't believe this shit, man. How is it so heavy? It's like I'm holding a club you sharpened. Did you even make a short cleaver? Is this a prank? Are you running a prank and ruining my testing? It has to be. Sabers, hackers, but for those who like a girl with some real curves on her and have more dexterity. With some class added in, these sabers claim to carry many out of a rough fight. But which one will carry you to victory the fastest? Okay, sabers are one of the most common pieces out there. I don't know who is making all these damn things, but it seems every bandit or mercenary seems to be carrying one. There's even a whole gang of bandits in the swamp dedicated and named after wielding them. So with so many users, they must be good, right? The Longsword. A longsword? Yeah, right. That would make me a League of Legends player then. Because this thing is neither long, nor is it an actual longsword. Some of you might have forgotten this thing even existed for a second, and that's because very few folks even carry one of these. It sports a signature saber feature of augmenting your defense by +2 and your attack by -2. Horse Chopper. What the hell is a horse? Anyway, I'm sure they taste good, whatever they are. This thing is the most standard weapon for this class, and it does look like it cuts pretty good for a weapon. Sports a -4 attack, but a +4 to defense. Cold Saber. Some wise guy punched a hole in his sword, and now he claims it makes the thing swing faster. Between you and me, I think they just wanted to be unique and is full of shit. Actually, that's just a beer opener if I ever saw one. You can't fool me, chump. It does feature a +6 to defense, and only a -4 to attack. Desert Saber. Despite being named after the United City's homeland, you don't see this thing out there very often. it sports an insane 100%, yes, a 100% bonus against spiders and their skimmer bug brethren. Wicked. But that's not all. It also does 50% damage against small spiders. That means those bastard blood spiders in the swamp. And not even the dogs are safe. We got 25% bonus damage to all rabid mutts out there that need a good butchering. Sadly, we don't have rabid dogs in our course, nor spiders. We have a strict no spiders allowed rule in place. Maybe we'll make an exception for this saber here. Foreign Saber, the curviest, baddest bitch out there. Sports a mighty +8 to defense and only a -4 to attack, so it's a ride or die for real. Good luck putting that thing back in the scabbard though. I'm not sure how you're supposed to do that. Ringed Saber. Good luck sneaking around with this thing on your back. If you're fighting someone with one of these, do yourself a favor and just bring some of your plugs. Sounds like you're in a chainmail maker's gloves during overtime just being around one of these things. And that's before it starts swinging. Sports a -2 to attack, but a +4 to defense. And it comes with a guaranteed headache. And those are all the known sabers. Who is the best? Looks like it's gonna be. I'm not gonna tell you until we rank them this time. So let's start talking about these curvy cutters and see who performed the best in our course. Guess what? We did add spiders to the course to replace the big thing fight. One of each of all the spiders that can be discovered in this land. The blued spooter of the swamps, and one skin spooter. A total of 2. Not many of them out there, is there? But a bonus is a bonus, I guess. Spiders are high damaging foes, so I structured this part as like a tag team fight, starting with the skin spider, and then tagging in the blood spider after it gets knocked down. The blood spider is more of a bonus here, because as you probably know, these things either die in 3,000 hits or 1 hit. There's no in between when fighting them. With the spider round explained, let's start off and say the horse chopper, the hold saber, and the ring saber, and the longsword, especially the longsword, all suck major ass, bro. These weapons are just rancid and utter crap. I'm gonna shit on them. Get ready. Get ready to hear it. Each and every one of these left the tester with unacceptable amounts of damage, just from the Fogmen and Dust Bandit fights. It was embarrassing to watch. You might say, Daniel, that's unfair, and I'd agree, but I have the footage, bro, in 2K no less. At first I was like, bad run, bad fight, let's run it again. I know Kenshi is RNG, it's okay buddy, let's try again. Bad fight, bad fight. Bad fight. And then I just realized these things just fucking suck major dick and balls. Nah, actually add the taint in there as well, because the longsword has been the first, and not even the iron stick let this happen, okay? Got the tester knocked by the Fogmen, which is a loss because they are a capture faction. What the fuck are wrong with these things? Are they just that bad? Am I missing something? For weapons that claim to be defensive and safe, they sure seem to get your ass beat. Now, they do a lot of damage, which is one of their major features, I will say that. And I was not disappointed by the few numbers I did see, but they just suck all around, and they got the worst runs yet. They just don't seem to swing. They cannot swing to save the user's life. I'm sorry to tell you this, if you liked any of these weapons, but either my course has whooped every single one of them 4 times, bare-handed ass smacking till the skin has been smacked off the ass cheeks 4 times in a row for each weapon, or I'm just lying to you. With that out of the way, the only decent performers out of all the sabers was the Foreign Saber and the Desert Saber, both acting more like hackers and polearms with attacks flying out and getting some work done, leaving us ready to fight again most cases. No one really did fantastic against armor and doors, but no one lost too badly. So the sabers aren't necessarily a lost cause, but they're definitely beat by the blunt weapons here, and especially the hackers. Now, against the spiders, These fights have been very sporadic, because spiders aren't fun to fight. That's why every trip to the Bugmaster either ends in ruin or you run past all of the spiders. All other sabers, but the foreign and of course the desert saber did poorly, with most of them not even making it to the blood spider, leaving us ready to drop dead and get our fucking innards sucked out. I will say the desert saber has had the highest damage numbers out of any weapons, thanks to its 100 bonus with the spiders. But the foreign saber, who also did a little bit better against all the other challenges, also got 2 very similar wins with the right hits. The foreign saber managed to clean out the skin spider and the blood spider almost just as fast as our friend the desert saber. So is the desert saber really worth carrying around for such an uncommon foe for an overall decrease in performance? Even here, the heavy polearm can also perform a similar takedown with some luck, with some good hits. So is the desert saber really that good? Anyway, let's get to the blackboard. The ringed and hold saber, horse chopper, and long sword all get low tier. These guys absolutely pissed me off, and they have some nerves calling themselves weapons at all. I ain't seen a sorry performance out of so many weapons ever, and I didn't think I'd be disappointed in such high cutting damage for weapons that are so fast to swing. If you manage to swing with any of them, keep these around to prop open doors around the base, and that's it. The desert saber. This guy started to save the sabers as a class. I was fucking terrified from everyone else behind this thing. A sword. I see. It swings, it hits, it serves, and that is all. The damage is good, and it seems to find itself hitting the enemy often. It does look pretty wicked. I do like how it looks, and it almost gets high tier. But cutting damage doesn't typically do well against armor. It will work hard for you if you let it. It is the title holder for the Spider Slayer, and almost nothing does a better job. We're giving it upper mid tier. The foreign saber. This goofy looking sword is a bloodthirsty monster. Do not be fooled. I almost believe they miscoded the 8 defense and gave it 8 attack instead, because it was trying to compete with the heavy polearm for the fastest fogman takedown out there. With how fast we swung this thing, against the spiders, it did manage to steal a lot of the spotlight from the desert saber. Not once, but twice in a row by beating both spiders with only 1 hit taken. Going to shows that extra damage isn't too deal sealing, because anything that does a lot of damage can take out a low health enemy. Barely it gets high tier. It's a safe choice, but it's slightly lackluster in experienced hands, but it's a force to be respected on the battlefield, as silly as it looks. Oh, sabers. No wonder all those bandits are so easy to beat, and my hired mercenaries die so fast anyway. Katanas, the lightest and fastest weapon type. The fastest thing on the battlefield isn't a crossbow bolt or a harpoon flying at you, or a rookie taking a surprise dirt nap. It's the freaks that can hit you multiple times with one of these featherlight cutters in under a second, only doing cutting damage and therefore strictly ruled by dexterity. They come with a heavier requirement, needing a whole lot of it to make proper use of them, and there are only dedicated masters for this weapon of choice. These won't necessarily hack through armor, nor will they scare off or fight off robots too well, but one lucky strike past your armor can spell death or dismemberment for the unexperienced fighter. This is the only weapon to sport its very own special move, a double strike that will land 2 hits rapidly on the target. These are a favorite of duelists and gamblers, but which one of these are worth betting your life with? Wakizashi. One of the smallest weapons out there. So light and small, the nobles that carry them as status symbols can even forget they're hanging from their hips sometimes. Sharp and small, it features all trademark properties as a katana as a whole, which is a 40% against skeletons, a 30% against armor, and a slight +2 attack and -2 defense, and a hatred for human beings with a minor +10 bonus. The Katana. The Katana itself is wicked fast, and a sand painting artist when it gets its hits in. Some hold one of these and never put them down, until they get killed by an armored skeleton, that is. It features a 40% against skeletons, a 30% against armor, a 10% bonus against humans, +4 attack and -4 defense. Guardless Katana. Some fool broke the guard off his katana, it looks like, after it saved his fingers from getting hacked off. It has the same 40% against skeletons, 30% against armor, 10% bonus against humans, but it does sport a +6 attack and a -6 defense without that guard, it looks like. Ninja Blade. This is the dullest katana type around. Maybe they forgot to sharpen it fully, but it is fast and lightweight. It mainly sports a notable 20% against armor, unlike its 30% brothers so far. It still has that 40% against skeletons and a 10% bonus against humans. Nodachi. The longest, meanest looking katana, sporting the highest damage too. This thing will let you smack someone across the bar if they are talking shit about you without the need to even leave your bar stool. That doesn't mean it'll make it easy to use indoors once the fight breaks out though. It comes with a -4 indoor penalty and a -4 defense that can add up when both are added to the equation. We still get the +4 attack of course, and we have the -40% against skeletons, -40% against armor, and the +10% against humans. The Topper. There has to be some joke to be made about getting head or something, but I'm not smart enough to make it right now. We're getting sloppy Topper tonight. The only debuffs this thing has is a 15% armor penetration, the lowest out of all the katanas so far, and an indoor penalty of -4 and nothing else. Most people think this thing is a polearm, but no, it's a katana. Somehow. I can't decide if it looks cool or not though. And those are the fastest and sharpest cutters out there. But who is the sharpest and fastest? Let's go. Yeah, it's a Nodachi. This thing is a fucking monster, and there's a good reason the legendary one is guarded by the goddamn skin bandits. It is so fast and deadly. It is basically the other katanas, but it does more damage, and it will hit everyone in front of you. But let's talk about how well the others did, because I've been out there literally studying the blades for y'all. First off, they're all fast, even with average stats, and average blade quality, both things which hurt this weapon type the most. So I'm cutting them some slack. Get it? Because they're cutting weapons, they pretty much only do cutting damage, so okay, yeah. Everyone did awful indoors, and especially against armor. We'll start there, and it resulted in the most fights lost yet. Even the Polearms did better inside, and that's pretty damn sad. I often saw 5 damage in there, and every time I did, it made me cringe. Sometimes we did get full damage, but it didn't win any fights indoors. So we're not looking too hot. On the other hand, Dust Bandits and Fogmens suffered the most deaths from these weapons out of everything. They all hurt in ways that lead to you passing away. The most lethal so far, but who did the most hurting? Well, yeah, it was the Nodachi. The Nodachi, damn, I fucking butchered. Yeah, it was the Nodachi, with the Topper somewhat trailing behind it. Now, some of you might already know this, but katanas are one of your best options against animals. They all shredded this beak boy, sometimes landing 4 hits back to back. That's just some of the powers these blades are capable of in fast hands. But against humans, it's pretty hard to harness. It's very hard to harness. The guardless katana? The guardless katana was all over the damn place. It sucked, it shined, it slayed, it sputtered out. It was sporadic like all katanas can be, but this one was especially. All of the katanas want to jump between mid and high tier, like a girl jumping between baby daddies. Let's just go ahead and rank them on the blackboard. The Waka Slashy. The wacky slashy, I thought we would be having you in the hot seat today, but you did pretty okay out there. You can't hit 2 fogmen or dust bandits to save your damn life, but you can hit them, buddy. And you can hurt them. And you can do it fast even. But the katana is just better. It's better than you by a lot. That's the issue here. And you're both sidearm weapons. And you lost your indoor fight. You will get someone killed out there as a side weapon, so you get low tier. Katana. You are the object of a lot of debate, no matter how many times you're folded. But you did do some folding of the enemies out there yourself with the fogmen and bandits. Indoors, you still lost pretty bad. You did hack up the beak thing pretty nice. So, because you're Kenshi's poster boy, I'll give you a mid tier. Regardless, Katana. This thing was everywhere. It was at the top. It was all the way at the bottom. It came close to losing against the fogmen and bandits in some fights, and then it went from almost clearing them out the fastest. I don't know if I can trust you, Guardless Katana. So, you get mid-tier. Mostly because you made me run the most tests, and it was just fun to watch you go. Ninja Blade. Literally just a worse katana. It did not even win the indoors fight, so I don't know. Low tier. It's just a worse katana. I would say the Waka Slashy was even a little bit better than this thing. Topper. Topper Slopper Baby. It did pretty alright outside. Mid tier. No Dachi. The saving grace of katanas. You're long and you're mean as fuck. You managed to win that indoor fight, and you murdered all those fogmen and dust bandits like an animal. How can you be so fast and so big at the same time? You literally exist to be better than everyone else here. It's kinda silly. Leana-bardoe has advised me to give you top tier, which I will. But don't go telling people that with under 80 dexterity and katanas that you are. They won't believe you, and I don't blame them in the slightest. And that's katanas. If y'all didn't need so much goddamn dexterity, they might have even given our final weapon class a run for their money. Probably not, because get ready, the meanest, best weapon class ever. Heavy weapons. Heavy duty. Sometimes you just absolutely have to atomic blast the shit out of someone you hate. Absolutely trying your hardest to remove their dumbass limbs from their stupid ugly bodies. Look no farther. The highest weights, the longest reaches of any weapon to clear the battlefield in bloody swaths. Which one of these 3 heavy weapons does it best? The plank. The closest you will get to a big ass sword in this game. Wield one of these and see it cut and maim deceptively fast. Heavy weapons demand strength, and if yours falters in a fight, you might struggle to block with this wicked tool of destruction. The only weakness it suffers is a -6 indoor penalty. The Fragment Axe, the heaviest accepted weapon achieved by current age man. It demands from its user a wicked strength that most agree are that of tall tales and are impossible to achieve. If you do manage to summon forth this requirement, your reward is one of the highest all-around damaging weapons on the planet. It only suffers a 6 indoor penalty, and it will impress Czech ladies. The Falling Sun. Its name stems from the fact that its damage is so high that getting struck with this weapon will send you to a light so bright you would think the very sun itself fell down to the ground just to blind you. Take heed, wielders and facers of this abomination. It saps the very soul from you. The lights of your eyes will be dulled and transferred to the very sun itself just in its presence. Slay beak things, mighty leviathans, and gorillas with a mighty 50% damage bonus, and see nature itself bend to your very will. The Falling Sun wins by a landslide. A landslide avalanche. A landslide avalanche tornado. A landslide avalanche tornado tsunami. You cannot do better or hope to compete with this thing. Duh. I don't even need to show you. Or tell you. But I will. First off, we'll start with the Fragment Axe. Even at Katanas Mark III, this thing is too heavy for like 80% of the populace of Kenshi to swing at full speed. That said, you can swing it reasonably fast, even at 50 strength. Before you get hit, it's pretty slow. It hurts. God does it hurt. The Fragment Axe actually outperforms everything we have tested previously so far by a landslide, doing that same damage that the Desert Saber was doing to just the spiders, the thing it was designed to slay. It does that damage to everything, to bandits, to fogmen. It's fucking 80s, bro. It's nuts. The Plank, however, well, the Plank beats everything else also we have reviewed so far. It does do slightly less damage than the Fragment Axe, but it is a fine weapon, with reasonable strength requirements most importantly. So you can swing the Katanas Mark III at full speed quite easily. Some of the clubs weigh more than this thing actually. The Plank has a special place in my heart because it will never fail you. One mighty swing is all it takes to turn the tide of a nasty fight, and this tide turner is the most reliable weapon on the market. The Falling Sun, the record setter, and is why I have reviewed it last, because I knew it would wipe the floor with this whole place with minimal effort. It did the highest damage. It had the fastest clear on the Fogmen and the Dust Bandits, of course. And like all heavy weapons, this thing doesn't give a fuck if it's indoors or not. It still pipes Mad Dog style just the same, beating the blunt weapons and hackers at their own game, out-damaging those samurai dudes. Of course, the Falling Sun here also beats the Beak Thing the fastest, beating the Polearms at their own game. And this is all the heavy weapons, by the way. They all killed the Beak Thing quicker than the Polearms did. And this is all done by an average character. I always have, and will always swear by heavy weapons. It's almost the only weapon worth using for a serious run. Hit 4 people at the same time for 80 fucking damage? You can't beat that. Not in your dreams. It's just so fucking good. All heavy weapons get top tier. And the Falling Sun, the Star of Kenshi, gets a special, super duper special, upper top tier. And that's it. Yep, heavy weapons are just that much better than everything else, even without extra investments. Don't let someone tell you need industrial arms. These things fuck crazy style. Well, I've been your host. Thank you for tuning in on this exciting... Oh, hang on. Who the hell could that be? Oh no. Is that motherfucking Karate Bobby? What the hell are you doing out here? Oh wait. Oh hell no. We're testing weapons out here, bro. Not whatever the fuck it is y'all do. No, wait, sorry. So the course is closed. Everyone already went home. Sorry, bro. Maybe next time.
I will fight. Move.
Maybe next time we'll...
Didn't ask. Jump.
I said, the course is closed. Punk ass, karate, bald, bitch. Anyways, thanks for joining us today. Ranking the weapons, talking about them and shit. Whew, that guy was a freak. Wait, y'all hear that?